Hi, my name is Annie Titus, and I'm doing a book review on the book The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. I've actually got a couple books by Ryan, which I'll do book reviews later. Ego is the Enemy, which I highly recommend. I haven't completed it yet, but it's a good book. Great. Let's face it, our egos get in the way of our lives, of learning, of adapting, of being better individuals. Ego's a very important part of who we are. And then The Obstacle is the Way. Both of these are easy to read. Things happen, things get in the way of our planned success and how we want to attack the world, and having new strategies that allow us to get through some of the obstacles that are in our path is pretty helpful. But this report is about the Daily Stoic. The Daily Stoic is a daily nugget for us to consider our lives. It's a nugget that we can look at things perhaps a different way, and we can live better lives, and that's the whole point. I'd really not thought of myself as a Stoic until this year. I had a class back in the spring called The Pursuit of Happiness, college class on campus as I was finishing up my last semester. When COVID hit, the campus shut down, and my graduation ceremony didn't happen, but I did graduate. Thank you. But 2020 has been a really interesting and challenging year. It's certainly been different than anything that I have encountered in my 60 plus years. And it certainly can derail us, a year like this, with not only the political challenges, but the challenges of a pandemic and the friction that it has placed upon our freedoms and our liberties, and all in the name of being healthy and safe and behaving in a way that's responsible toward others. And so it's been a tough year. And it has probably pronounced more so this idea of being a victim of circumstance. I know I have felt on many occasions this year of being a victim of the world around me. Certainly it has affected me financially. It's affected me from an educational point of view. From my future has been certainly diverted because of COVID this year. But what this book has helped me understand is that I cannot control the world. I cannot control the tragedy of a pandemic and people dying and people becoming ill. I cannot control politics, which has been truly interesting in a very twisted way this year. So we can't control these things, and so focusing on things that I can't control is not something that's helpful. And so the Daily Stoic is something that I could get a simple nugget from each day that allows me to be mindful of controlling my attitude, my behaviors, the narrative in which I view the world, and I get to choose how I view the world. The world does not get the opportunity to tell me how I should see things or how I should view things. I get to make that decision. I get to choose the narrative that I believe. And so the Daily Stoic provides a daily nugget to ponder, to consider, aligning with Stoic principles and thoughts. And that's where it's really helped me this year. So why is this book important? Well, it gives me new ways to look at problems and obstacles that I face. And by looking at things from a different perspective, instead of the perspective of being the victim, it allows me to say, hey, because of this event, this circumstance, this experience, that has actually helped me to be a better person by noticing things, by being aware of things, and I can make adjustments in my day and look at things differently. And because I'm looking at things differently, I can see events in a different lens, from a different point of view, and that allows me to become not only a better person, but it allows me to glean ideas and truth and even creativity, things that I wouldn't see otherwise. It allows me to see these things in a new light. And so that's why this book is important to me. It's a daily reminder, helps me to keep important ideas and concepts not diluted by the daily tragedies that are being force-fed through fear, through the media, through politics, and a killer pandemic. It allows me to keep things in a proper perspective. And so it's healthy for me from an attitude point of view. It's helpful for me from an emotional point of view. It's helpful for me from an intellectual point of view. And it gives me more positive energy to engage a world that is really struggling at this point in time. So what about this book is ideal? What is good? First off, it provides an insight. It provides an idea for writing a different narrative than what we're led to believe. Many times we can look at an event or an experience from a purely negative point of view because something bad happened. But by looking at that idea of bad, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe that event, maybe that experience allowed me to see something that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. Certainly this pandemic has affected the way I view the world now. I look at it completely different than what I did last year. It has really turned the tide on how I interact with the world. Could I look at that from a bad perspective, from a negative perspective? Certainly. For many of us is very easy to write that narrative. For me, looking at how the pandemic has shaped my world, it has actually benefited me. It's not only changed my perception, because of the isolation, my world has slowed down. I don't have near the activity, I don't have near the things that I've had in the past. Is that a good thing? Well, yeah, it is. Because things I would not have read, things I would not have considered, things I wouldn't have written, these would not have happened if the world was as busy as it has been in the past. And so this year, just the idea of slowing down the pace and being able to think and to be able to create and to be able to visit some of the passions that I have in the past, this has actually been very beneficial in my growth as an individual and as a creative person. And so the Daily Stoic has been a great book for me this year, reading a page a day, giving me new thoughts, new insights. It helps me to look at a world that is in despair, to look at it not from the perspective of I'm victim to this, but from a perspective that this is what we have. this is how this can benefit me and make me a better person, to make me more adaptable, to make me more creative. And so the Daily Stoic has been a great book to read this year, and I'm glad that I have it, that I get to read each day. Thank you.